Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche Player Previews and full season preview for the Colorado Avalanche. 4 videos in total, and we're brought to you by Hassel Cattle Company. Use code DNVR20 over at hasselcattlecompany.com to get some delicious meats. We're starting off with the Avs goaltender situation, and let's be honest, the goaltending situation, for the most part, is pretty straightforward. Your 2 goalies are Pavel Francouz and Alex Georgiev.
They're both bad.
Oh my God. Stop. Stop.
AJ.
See, I get to say this stuff because Megan's on the opposite end of this table.
Let's start off with the known quantity in Pavel Francouz. He's been here for a couple years now, finally had a proper healthy season last year, and was very, very good. Yes, he played in a backup role, but we saw in the playoffs it was a 6-0 record for him. Numbers are great, obviously. Avs going to look pretty great behind that team. How are we feeling on Pavel going into this year? Do you think he has a genuine shot at the starter role?
I'll start on Francouz because I know that a lot of people disagree on this, and I understand why. But Frankie's someone to me that when he came over, when I watch him from a mechanics standpoint, that is someone that I've long felt, still do feel, has some level of number one upside in the NHL, whether it's a 1A, 1B, or whatever. That's personally how I feel. He's a little small. That may be something that keeps him from it. But look, I'm big on Pavel Francouz. He's really, really, really well liked in that locker room, and I think he's going to have an opportunity this year to make some noise.
Okay, I hope that he does. Realistically, I think it's going to take some other issues on the Avalanche for him to really properly have a chance at the starting job.
For sure.
Which, depending on how you feel on that. I guess my next question was, do we believe that Francouz can step up his game against quality competition? Because we've seen...
Like Connor McDavid?
Yeah, sure. But against in a longer sample size, right?
For sure. I'm being tongue-in-cheek.
I would like to see that because we saw throughout both of his healthy years, he often got the easier teams in the regular season.
Sure.
Megan, AJ, you guys can speak to this. Can he find sustained success? Can he do it over a 10-game stretch if he's called upon instead of these shorter stints?
I actually think that type of thing benefits any goaltender, too. The consistency in getting consistent starts, I think mentally helps them to find a rhythm in net. And I think that, in general, the Colorado Avalanche enjoy playing in front of him. And I think that his record, because you look at save percentage alongside wins, and the wins category is actually one of his greatest strengths. And I think that the relationship he has culturally in the locker room also helps him as a goaltender, and that history too. So I think it's a combination of these things, but he sounds ready to start more games consistently too. You can tell talking to him that's something that he'd like. That season where he was splitting starts with Grubauer, it went really well for him, and I think he'd like to see something like that recreated into this season. It'll just kind of be a matter of how the Avs as an organization really want to utilize Georgiev and Francouz. Is it a true tandem, or is there a real starter among them?
Yeah, honestly, I think that's the big question.
Well, and Jared Bednar, I thought, made it a little bit more of a question because, look, in the summer they brought in Georgiev, they gave him the deal, and I don't remember if it was Joe Sakic or Chris McFarland said, yep, look, we brought him in here to be the number one, to be the starter. But then on media day one, the official day one of the new season, Jared Bednar says this is a starting job that's going to be up for grabs. We asked Pavel Francouz, are you thinking about that at all? He's aware of it. It's in the back of his mind, and to Megan's point, he sounds ready to embrace that. And the other thing you said, the guys love playing in front of him. They all really like Frankie. Anybody who's ever met him, he's impossible to not like. And yeah, I think the guys like battling for him.
Papa Pavel.
Okay, Father Francouz was right there the whole time. I don't know why I went Papa Pavel.
Father Francouz is like he's a priest or something.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
Insanely.
And that's like he came in at the end of his career. He's the old guy on the team. Father Frankie.
So that's kind of the best case scenario. Worst cases as we go through this series, as often as possible, we stayed away from using injuries because, of course, that's a worst case for everyone. But in Francouz's case, his play on the ice has really been very, very stable across his NHL career.
Yeah.
And the only thing that has hampered him has been those injury stretches.
And I just want to make sure that this is clear. It was 2 injuries that just so happened to come back to back. And the second one was, like a really weird fluke. Had nothing to do with the first one. So, I mean, he got a little bit of that reputation just because it happened in the playoffs and then in the preseason within the same 6-month stretch. And I think people kind of...
well, you remember he missed the start of last year.
Right, which is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, because he got hurt in the playoffs, in the bubble, and then he was okay. And then the start of the next season, the shortened season, he gets hurt in the last practice after the first 2 games.
Oh, see, I thought it was the first preseason game he played.
He got hurt. He got hurt in the last practice after the 2 games against St. Louis, and they were getting ready to go on the road to California. He gets hurt, doesn't travel, misses the entire year, and then has surgery, comes back, and is healthy for training camp last season.
Yep, thank you.
Gets hurt in the preseason game when he did that awkward thing with the post and gets hurt again. And so everybody was like, he can't stay healthy.
That's right. I forgot.
Because it was just the string of injuries that had happened to him, and then he's been fine ever since.
It's been weird, fluky injuries, too, because like you said, they're not related to one another.
Right.
It's knees, it's ankle, and it's hips.
Yep. All things that goalies don't need.
Right. Thankfully, it's not a continuing injury that continues to bother him, but it's still an unfortunate.
Yeah, it's not like Varley with the soft tissue injuries early in his career, where it was a lot of hamstring, a lot of groin, a lot of that kind of stuff that plagued him. It was just a handful of fluke things that really hurt him, and he's been. But when you guys mentioned when he's been on the ice, he's been legit. Feel very comfortable with him as the backup. Feel very uncomfortable with him as the starter. But that's the sign of a good backup.
Right. I was going to say, at worst, he's a really high-level backup.
Yeah. You're totally comfortable with him as a backup.
We're slotting him into the backup role, and the inside line for the starter role is going to Alexander Georgiev. It's what the Avs brought him in for, regardless of what Bednar said. Now, he does have to earn it. A 4-year career that has trended in the wrong direction.
5.
Is it 5?
It is.
It feels like 50. So.
It does.
Either way, for Georgiev, this is going to be his first real opportunity to become a true starter for a hockey team. And how are we feeling? Are we confident? Are we totally in the dark? Where do you sit?
I started the last one, so I'll defer to one of you guys.
I mean, I'm the fun hater, right? I'm the pessimist, so whatever. I'll just get this out of the way. You're talking about a guy that had a sub-900 save percentage as a backup last year, taking the starting reins of the defending Stanley Cup champions. There's cause for concern here. Not saying he can't do it. Not saying that it's not capable of it. Not saying that there weren't circumstances that contributed to the decline in a steady decline in his play. But the fact is that this is the least proven guy that they've put in net to date. Philip Grubauer had the highest save percentage ever among starters with 100 starts in their career when the Avs traded for him. There was a track record there. There was something to buy into. Darcy Kemper had an elite season or two when they traded for him. Alexander Georgiev has had trade requests just floating out there from the with the Rangers for a couple of years now. And they just didn't want to give him away because there's a lot of belief around the league that this guy is a starting caliber goaltender. So there is it's not just the Avs that feel this way. It is a pretty common belief that Georgiev has this kind of game, but behind Colorado's defense with UC Parkala as the goaltending coach, you have to feel like he's never going to be put in a better position to succeed than he currently is.
I got a little concerned about Georgiev last week. He got shelled in Vegas, and that had nothing to do with it. It was those next 2 days at practice. He was working a lot with UC Parkala, and he was getting really, really frustrated, and he was getting smoked on basic drills that are designed for goaltenders to stop the puck, to feel the puck, to feel them, and he was getting really frustrated, and him and UC were they weren't arguing back and forth, but they were having a tough conversation, And I was just sitting there, and you watch that Vegas game where, again, it wasn't the goals. That was a bad lineup, all that stuff. It's the body language. It's I'm frustrated. I'm not getting what they're wanting me to get here. And I got a little concerned because with goalies, the mental side of the game is as important as almost anything else. If you don't think you're going to stop the puck, you're not going to stop it. And that was where I got a little concerned on the backs of what AJ was just talking about. It's been a downward trend for him. He's coming in, as maybe the least, not maybe, as absolutely the least proven goalie the Avs have tried to do this with. And look, you're right. He's going to get the benefit of the doubt for the starting job. But he heard what Jared Bednar said. He knows this is up for grabs. He knows that Pavel Francouz is an established piece here.
A guy that won 6 playoff games for this franchise.
That won all 4 games in the Western Conference Final.
Yeah.
He knows what the situation here, and that was why I got a little worried about him. I thought he looked really sharp in that last preseason game against Dallas, and that instilled a little bit of confidence of this is what they saw. This is what they were looking for when they went out and got him, is that he can be sharp. He's good on his angles. He finds the puck through traffic. Now, can he do that for a full season as a number one? I don't remember which one of you said it. Being behind this defense, you're going to be in the best position possible to do that.
I think it's a double-edged sword, too. Like, the UC Parkla component is also important here. And the mental component of the game is both what could be his greatest strength and his greatest weakness, in my opinion. And it could be his greatest strength because it's clear to me that this is a goaltender who, at an early stage into his NHL career, believed himself to be a starter and has not had the opportunity to have that kind of runway. And I think he's been frustrated and it's affected his play. And that's a concern, though. You don't want a goaltender who could be affected mentally so much that there's a decline in play. And similarly, talking to him about the opportunity here, he actually lost some of his words for a second. He had to pause because he was brimming with excitement and how excited he is to be here. And this is even after Bednar's comments about that role being up for grabs. He's well aware. And then also talking with him about the goaltending coach in New York, Benoit Allaire, and UC Parkla here. He described them both as very different, and that Parkla has a very different vision for how he wants him to play. And I think there's a lot of adjustment happening right now. And I think some of that frustration is a reflection of that. But he didn't seem discouraged by the adjustment. And each time I've talked to him, he talks about different things he's seeing to work on in his game that's being pointed out to him through Parkla. And I think that he's just going through, it's an overhaul in what he understood in goaltending to acclimate to what Parkla wants from him compared to what Allaire wanted from him in New York. And I think it's really tough because the highs for him are going to be exceedingly high, but the lows could be exceedingly low. So I want to make that very clear. But I think just hearing how he talks about his excitement being here and how he at least seems like a sponge right now and absorbing Parkla's wisdom, I still have a little bit of hope that this could go well.
And look, we always say with goalies, especially getting into a new system, give them 20 games before you start making any serious judgments on it.
Yeah.
Best case, he could be a top 10 goalie behind the Colorado Avalanche. Worst case, honestly, comes down to the salary cap for the Avs, a team that are going to have to do a little bit of that cap dance. If he doesn't succeed as a starter, the Avs have locked themselves into 3 years at a little under $3.5 million that maybe was better spent elsewhere if you're not paying your starter that money.
Yep.
So we'll see, obviously, hoping for the best, but
He's an exciting guy, though.
yeah.
Good upside. Fun upside.
Lot to look forward to there, but I'm sure he'll have one bad game and everyone will burn it down. Fine.
And I will be there.
On that note,
Watching.
we're going to wrap up this goalie preview. We hope you all enjoyed. Next up, we will be moving to the defenseman video, which I'm sure you all will want to check out. And a little bit later, we will have the forward videos as well. So keep an eye out for those. Be sure to like and subscribe here on YouTube. And we will talk to you guys in the next preview.